Chapter 13, Lesson 2 is about multiplying whole numbers and decimals. So you could expect to multiply one whole number by a decimal number. Okay? Our learning goal today is to find the product of a whole number and a decimal. What is a product again? When it says find a product, what does that mean? Chris, what's a product?
Product is like the answer
To? Yeah, a product is simply the answer to the multiplication problem. So in order to find a product, you need to be able to multiply, right? So it's just a fancy way of saying today's learning goal, you need to be able to multiply a whole number by a decimal, okay? Okay, here's our problem for the day. Kara sells jewelry made by local artists. A customer is interested in a bracelet that is 7 inches long. The customer asks Kara for the length of the bracelet in centimeters. There are 2 5400 centimeters in 1 inch. What is the length of the bracelet in centimeters? So what math equation could we write to help us solve this problem and why? Goni?
2 5400 multiplied by 7.
Why would you do 2 5400 multiplied by 7? Why are you doing that to find the answer?
Because the problem is telling us that every inch is 2 54 centimeters.
So each inch is the same as 2 5400 of a centimeter.
And there are 7 inches.
So we have to multiply 2 5400 by 7 in order to find the answer. Very good. Okay, so step 1 for multiplying is you're going to multiply the numbers. You have 2 5400 times 7. But the first step, you're going to ignore the decimal point. So you'll notice here I wrote 254, which is the same as 2 5400 if I took out the decimal point, times 7. Okay, let's go ahead and multiply. How do I multiply again? Can someone please walk me through the process of multiplying? Henrik, what's the first thing I need to do?
Okay. It's starting. Okay, so you have to do 4 times 7.
Okay, what is 4 times 7?
That's 28.
So do I write 28 down here?
You just write the 8 down.
Okay, and I carry the 2 up here? Okay, then what do I do?
Now you do 5 times 7, which is 35, except you have to write down a 7 because of the plus 2.
So it's 5 times 7 is 35 plus 2, which is 37. So do I write 37 here?
No, because you got one more number.
Okay, so I write the 7, the 1s, and I carry the 10s over here, like that? Okay, now what?
And now you do 2 times 7.
2 times 7, which is?
14.
And then I add?
Plus 3 is 17. So now you can put 17 down.
Okay, so it's my answer 1,778 centimeters in that bracelet? That would be a very long bracelet, huh? Is that reasonable? Okay, so we have to go to step 2. Step 2 says you have to place the decimal point back into the product. Okay? The number of decimal places in the product must be equal to the total number of decimal places in the factors. So let's look again. Originally we had 2 5400, right? Now, how many numbers are in the decimals there? How many numbers are in the decimals in 2 5400? Atharva?
2.
There's 2. You'll see there's 2 numbers that are in the decimal places. 2. What about in 7? How many numbers are in the decimals there? Riley? 0. So there's 0 here. So 2 plus 0 is how many decimal places? 2. So we need to make sure our answer also has 2 decimal places. So we'll put our decimal in where we need to do it so that we have 2 numbers in our decimal places. So how many centimeters are there in that bracelet? Daniel?
17 and 78 100
Centimeters. We need to remember to label our answer before we... Okay, very good. So let's try this one. 12 times 65 hundredths. It's easier for me to write it vertically, so let's write it vertically first. What was step 1, Sawyer? Good, I multiply, but I ignore the decimal points, right? So 12 times 65. What, do I need that 0 in the front? Does it change the value of the number?
No.
Not right now, right? Without the decimal point. Okay, how do I multiply 2 digits by 2 digits? Hey, Month, talk me through it, please. Okay, so if I multiply, I look at this ones place first, right? Okay.
And then carry a 1 over the tens place.
Okay.
And 5 times 1 is 5, and then add the 1, which is 6.
Okay, so 60.
You put an X or a 0.
I don't put an X.
A 0 below.
What does X mean in math? That means multiply. Should I multiply down here?
0.
Oh, so I put a 0. I'm going to multiply the tens now. Why do I put a 0 there? Yes, Aman.
Because now you're actually multiplying 60 times.
So I'm actually multiplying by tens. So I'm going to put a 0 there because now I'm going to multiply my tens. So 60 times 2 is?
Is 120.
Okay, so I'm going to put the 2 in the tens and carry the 1 to the hundreds. And?
And 60 times 1, 60. 60 plus 1 is 61.
60 plus 1 is 61. So should I write 61 here?
Yeah.
Arjun.
You should have 70.
Why is it 70?
Because that counts as a 10.
So this one is actually a 10, isn't it? So 60 plus 10 is?
70.
It's actually 100. So it's 600 plus 100. Okay. Now how do I find my final answer? What do I need to do? Nadia?
Add.
You add. Okay. 0 plus 0 in the ones is?
0.
Okay. 6 plus 2 is?
8.
And 7 plus nothing on top is?
7.
So my answer is 780. Yeah? Should I box that answer?
No.
Sanjana, what's wrong?
You haven't put the decimal point yet.
Oh, okay. So how do I figure out how many decimal points I need? How many numbers I need after the decimal point?
So you need to look at the decimal number.
Okay. So how many numbers are after the decimal point here in 12?
There's none.
None. Okay, 0.
And then
What about over here?
There's 2. So
1,
that
2.
means
So 0 plus 2 is how many numbers need to be after the decimal point?
2.
2. Okay, so let's see. If I put it here, there's none. If I put it here, there would be 1. So I need to put it here. So my answer must be 7 and 80th hundredths or
7 and 8.
7 and 8 tenths. Very good. 8 thousandths times 10, 8 thousandths times 100, and 8 thousandths times 1,000. Go ahead and do these 3 problems in your notebook and tell me what you're noticing. Are the step ones pretty much all the same? 8 times 10, 8 times 100, 8 times 1,000? Go ahead and try it. Let's see. Remember, step 1 is to multiply and you ignore the decimal points. And then step 2 is putting in the decimal point. Okay, let's try the first one first. 8 thousandths times 10. So what's step 1 again, Kevin?
Step 1 is put it in the ground.
Okay, so write it vertically and ignore the decimal points, right? So here we have 8 times 10. Do we know that by heart? What's 8 times 10? 80. Okay. So how many numbers do we need after the decimal point? How many numbers do we need after the decimal point, Kevin? Let me see. How many numbers are after the decimal point here? We have 1 number here after the decimal point. 1.
So, on the right or left?
Right here. 8 thousandths. How many numbers are after the decimal point? 3. Good. You have 1, 2, and 3, right? How many are after the decimal point here in 10? So in our answer, how many numbers do we need after the decimal point? 3. So I have, if I put it here, there'd be 0, 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. What should I do? I ran out of spots. What do I need to do? Aditya? Where do I need to add a 0?
To the left of 8.
Good. So if my answer is 0.080, are there 3 numbers to the right of the decimal point? Is that what we need? Is that our answer? 8 hundredths. Good. Let's try number 2. 8 thousandths times 100. We can just ignore the decimal point first and do 8 times 100, which is?
800.
Okay, equals 800. Now, how many numbers do we need to after the decimal point? How many? Show me with your fingers. How many numbers do we need after the decimal point? 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. 1, 2, 3. Oh, perfect. So my answer must be 8 tenths, right? Okay. Let's do the third problem. 8 times 1,000 is?
8,000.
8,000. How many numbers now do I need after the decimal point? 3 still, so I can count 1, 2, 3. Put it right here. My answer is 8.000, sure. Right? So what pattern did you notice, Haman?
When multiplying by a number less than 1, the product gets number than the whole number.
So we've been talking about that. But what other pattern did you notice with these 3 problems? That's why I did not want you to give up. I wanted you to look for more patterns. Atharva.
So when 10 times 8 is 80, so the decimal gets, after you have 2 bits, it gets 0.80, then 0.800, and then 8.00.
So did you guys notice we were multiplying by 10, and then 100, and then 1,000? So each time we were multiplying by 10 more, because 10 times 10 is 100, 100 times 10 is 1,000. We were adding a 0 each time. As we were adding a 0, what happened to our decimal point? It moved from here to before the 8 to after the 8. What happened to our decimal point? Archish?
It moved to the left.
It moved one spot to the right. Each time you multiply by a factor of 10, your decimal point moves to the right. Why? Why? Arjun?
Because you're adding another 0.
Yeah, essentially, let's think about when you have your tens, ones, hundreds, tens, thousands. Each time you move one place value over, you change it by a multiple of 10, Same thing with the decimal points. Okay, just think about that for a little bit.